There's an old art to preparing plants properly because leaves, flowers, roots, and bark were never meant to be treated the same way. Welcome to Womenfolk Revival, where we are deeply rooted and wildly intentional. I am Maggie.
And I'm Mira. Okay, so I thought this was going to be a simple episode about infusions versus decoctions. However, it has turned into a complete tea identity crisis for me because why did I not know that green tea, black tea, oolong, and pu-erh all come from one plant?
And why did I not know that anything made with any other plant isn't an actual tea, but a tisane or tisane?
What's a tisane?
It is anything steeped in water that is not from the Camellia sinensis plant, which is the
Oh
one that
wow.
produces all your different true teas.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I genuinely thought they were all different herbs. And apparently the difference comes from the what happens to the leaves after they're picked. So in
Hmm.
case you didn't know, oxidation and fermentation are not the same thing, which I definitely didn't realize the difference before we chose to do this episode. So what I found out was oxidation basically happens when the leaves react to oxygen after they're picked. So it's kind of like
Hmm.
when you cut open an apple and it slowly turns brown while it's
Yes.
sitting on the counter. That's like oxidization. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Oxidation.
Oxidation.
So green tea is heated really quickly after picking it to stop the oxidation. So they either steam the leaves or they put them in like a frying pan in like really hot pans.
Yeah, in
And
China they fry them. In Japan
yeah.
they
Oh,
steam
okay.
them.
I didn't know that. And so then basically the leaves deactivates the enzymes which cause the oxidization. So they stay greener longer and fresher and lighter and they're oxidized. But black tea, on the other hand, what I found out, oxidizes much longer. So instead of stopping it
Hmm.
quickly, like green tea, they allow the leaves to keep reacting with that oxygen for much longer. So cool. So after the leaves are picked, they just roll them up and bruise them, or they break them up to expose some of the insides of the leaf to the oxygen. And then they let them sit for over a period of time. And then apparently, as they oxidize, the leaves get darker. So then that makes the flavor get stronger and it becomes more bold. And then
Hmm.
one of my favorites, oolong, that's in the middle of oxidization.
Hmm.
And then my other favorite, pu-erh, is different because it's fermented. And I thought that it was just left sitting in the sun, but apparently it's about moisture and warmth and microbes aging
Yes.
over time. That is
Yes. I
so
never knew
cool.
I never knew about pura. Is that right?
Pu-erh.
Pu Puer.
Pu-erh. I
Okay,
think I'm
whatever.
saying that right.
I never knew about that one, and I'm so interested in trying that one. And another one I had never heard of either was yellow tea, which I find is the
Huh,
rarest of all.
interesting.
Um, so I definitely want to do more research on that one too. And did you know, this is something I found out too, that matcha is green tea? It's
Mhm.
just the whole leaf made into a powder? That I did not
Yeah,
know.
I did know that. I did know that. But pu-erh is like one of my favorite teas. Apparently they age it over years, some pu-erh.
Wow.
It's intentionally piled and warmed up and moistened to speed up the fermentation process. So once I realized all these come from the same plant, I started doing some research on how we prepare them all, and I realized that traditional tea cultures um almost prepare them like an art, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
because, they paid attention to the leaves and the timing and the water and the temperature and how the body responded to it. And, honestly, I just used to leave the leaves sit in my cup all day as I sipped, but apparently I've been doing
You
that all
should
wrong.
not. And why
Yeah.
should we not do that, Mira?
Well, it gets bitter. That's
Mm-hmm.
for
And
one.
why?
You ever had your mouth get, like, real cottony? Yeah, the longer the leaves sit in the water, the more the tannins and the oxalates get extracted. So tannins are what create that bitter dry mouth feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the tea almost tastes really harsh and it feels really dusty afterwards. Um, Tannins in these leaves are a defense system that helps protect the plants from like fungus, insects, bacteria, and all that stuff. And oxalates, which is another one, It's the plant's natural compound found in like tea. It's also found in spinach and nuts and beets and all those different and chocolate. Those
Mhm.
help regulate the minerals inside the plant. And these actually are not bad compounds because the plants develop them for protection for itself. But it made me think that maybe we weren't supposed to massively over extract plants either, in balanced
Yeah.
amounts. Many of these
Mhm.
compounds actually have benefits, but when we leave tea sitting forever in the water, that's where it can become harsh on the stomach and irritating to sensitive people.
Yeah. Yeah, tannins and oxalates are huge in the food scene right now, and everyone's telling you not to eat
Mhm.
them. And you definitely should limit your intake of them if you do
Mhm.
have underlying health issues. For the
Yeah.
average, person that has good, generally good health, tannins are not going to affect them.
Well,
Um,
they
are
in
most
large
likely not
amounts they
going,
will. It'll upset
huh?
your stomach at the most.
Yeah, yes,
That's why
but
they process it
it's not
different.
this big, health scare that everyone is making it out to be. Not for
Mhm.
everyone. It can be, like I said, if you have underlying issues. But tannins can also be beneficial.
Yes.
There's antioxidant activity.
Mhm.
They have antimicrobial effects.
Mhm.
Um, what else? And I know people say that they will they bind minerals like zinc and
Calcium.
iron. Zinc and iron. Um, and that just means that your body can't absorb them at that time. But what I've always known about iron is that you can have too much iron. You can also
Mhm.
have too much zinc, and both can cause serious health complications. It almost makes me wonder that maybe these tannins are also there to ensure that we don't overload on
It's the
those
same.
minerals, because if we are eating whole foods, there is that potential. And if you're eating a carnivore diet, there's a real potential for you to have too much iron.
Mhm. Well, that's also why you eat certain meals when you drink these things and meals that have like dairy and stuff in it. And I realized traditional
Vitamin
tea
C.
cultures, yeah, already seem to understand this balance long before modern science explained why. Back then, they did short steep times and they reused the leaves and they watched water carefully, which is what we do in our house. Although now I'm not leaving them in my water. So, depending on how you apply heat and time in this exact same plant, you unlock completely different medicines for your body, which I thought was fascinating. You can take the same leaf and change its entire chemical footprint just by changing the technique. So,
No.
one of what we do is the two-step flash steep system that many traditional cultures use. So we do a quick rinse first, which I wasn't doing the quick rinse part. So I pour hot water over my leaves and I let them sit for about 30 seconds, and then I throw out that first steep because, it's less bitter and you can keep reusing the same leaves over, um, but you wanna throw away that first steep because that's what holds the highest amount of caffeine, the highest amount of oxalates, and the highest amount of tannins. So the caffeine and loose surface oxalates are highly water soluble. So then they rush out in like the first 30 seconds by dumping that first pour. So then the short steep pulls out the L-theanine, which is an amino acid that creates that calmness and focused brain waves and antioxidants. So it's like real light and clean and acts like a medicine for your brain. And then the next one that my husband does is the sun steep, where you put it in the sun for a few hours with the green and the black tea. So without boiling, the water doesn't have that force to tear open the cell walls to make it bitter. So the tannins stay locked inside of the leaf. So then the
Really?
sun slowly draws out the amino acids and preserves the antioxidants. So it's like vitamin C and green tea that heat usually destroys. So if you sun steep green tea, you get the ultimate theanine, L-theanine bomb with zero bitterness. I had no idea. And my husband
That's
actually
crazy.
has been doing this for the last few weeks. My kids need some of that L-theanine tea. And I don't know if you can hear 'em in the background screaming. They need that calm L-theanine balm. It's got friendly fermented nutrients, and it's refreshing and incredibly hydrating. Like, we love it. Um, and then there's the third way. Sometimes we take this is the way you like. We take the black ground tea grounds and we boil them high, and then we take it
Mhm.
off of the stove. We also add cardamom pods and cinnamon. Do you know what I'm making?
Yes, milk tea.
We take it off the water, we add our milk, and then we do 3 high rolling boils. Um, I thought my husband used to do this for flavor. Yes, milk tea, but scientifically, it's a decoction. So it's pushing the tea into a rolling boil 3 times. When you do that, it acts like a chemical sledgehammer where it forces out everything that's locked up, the locked up compounds. So you get the maximum caffeine, the heaviest polyphenols, and a huge wave of tannins. So if you drank it straight, your mouth would dry instantly. That's why we put the milk in to keep it from feeling that way. It's called casein, the milk proteins. It
Mhm.
binds to the tannins and it neutralizes that bitterness so it doesn't irritate your stomach.
Oh, and it's so good.
It acts like
It's
a
so
sponge, yeah.
delightful.
Yes, yes. So the moment you add that milk, the tannins bind to the casein in the cup instead of your mouth not making it super dry. Yeah.
Nice.
And I've always added a touch of milk to my tea, which I didn't realize had those benefits. I just, I like the way it tastes. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I like the way I like my black teas, and I never realized there's so many different kinds of black teas.
mhm.
Um, and I typically do the English breakfast, which is a combination of, like, 3 different black teas.
That's so cool.
Um, and then my chai tea, of course, I love, but I have a Som tea from you, which is a black tea that I
Chai
need to start
tea.
making my milk tea with.
Everybody says chai tea. You're just saying tea twice. Tea tea.
Oh, really?
Chai is tea.
Oh.
So my kids walk around going, "I want some tea tea." I'm like, "Excuse me?" 'Cause somewhere said that,
Apparently,
chai
we
tea
just
is
do
tea.
everything wrong in the Western world because, like I said before too, unless it comes from the Camellia sinensis plant, it is not tea.
It is not
So if
tea.
you're, if you're if you have your dandelion tea or your nettle tea or your
Yes.
hibiscus tea, those are not teas.
Yes. Those
They're
are
tisans,
infusions, or infusions
tisanes.
versus unlike decoctions where, that started finally making sense to me after doing all this research because, different plants want different preparation methods, So, like,
Mhm.
peppermint, sweet mint, tulsi, tea leaves that I use do better with steeping than and that's an infusion. So Tulsi, I always talk about like you talk about your dandelion, I talk about my Tulsi. It's traditionally used for stress support and nervous system balance, and my lord, in this time of my life, I need it. And mint always is cooling and soothing to my stomach. So, but tougher things like fennel seeds I use, green cardamom pods I use, fresh ginger roots and bark. Those need more heat, and those are decoctions because you simmer those to get through their tough exterior to get into the
Yeah,
compounds that are harder to release from the exterior. So, personally, I simmer my fennel and my green cardamom and my ginger if I'm feeling like ginger. Sometimes I just eat it by itself because they're tougher and they need to release everything. And then when that's
mhm.
done, I pour it on my cup, let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'll add my peppermint or my sweet mint or tulsi so it doesn't overcook it. And oh my gosh, it's amazing, and I leave them in there because we eat them as I drink my tea. Sometimes you should take, like, the leaves out after a certain time, but I leave mine in because I like to eat mine, and I was already doing all of these things naturally right here in my kitchen. I didn't even realize that, all the names for it, so, um, I thought that was just so cool.
It is, it's so cool. It's still
Mhm.
it's there's so we always talk about how there's so much to learn and,
Oh my gosh.
you tell me all the time that I seem like an encyclopedia to you.
You do.
But but I mean, but I'm not because there's just
Yeah,
every time,
so
we
much.
go into an episode and I'm preparing, I always find out something that I had no clue
New.
of.
Sure.
And this
Yeah.
whole tea thing, blows my mind. Like, I've been saying I'm
Mine too.
drinking all these teas, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I do have my black tea, and that is actual tea. And did you know that true tea is the second most popular beverage behind water?
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Oh, well.
That's
No
a
wonder
great
everybody's
thing.
walking around dehydrated because tea is diuretic. Makes you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but from what I understand, tea doesn't act in a heavy, dehydrating way, if that
Mhm.
makes like other things would.
Mm,
But
well, people are also adding other stuff to it, like sugar and all that stuff. We don't put sugar in
sugar.
any of our things. My husband makes a hibiscus
Gross.
tea, and my kids thought it was like juice or something special because we don't ever have that in our house. And so now when he makes this hibiscus tea, he just leaves it sit out all day, and my kids drink this
It is
hibiscus tea because
tart.
they're so with it. They love it. I don't like it. My
I
kids,
don't
they
like it
love it.
either.
But they also beg for that pooky spice that we have and all those other silly things that we eat just, you know, herbs by itself.
It's
Um,
great.
the one thing that I realized doing this is, you know, we are a culture here in America that is so fast paced. We have gotten to the point where we want things at the drop of a dime, like the
Mhm.
microwave generation. Now, 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 now. We're not thinking about what it's going to do to our bodies. We just think about we want it in that moment. It feels good. It tastes good. It releases those chemicals in our brain, and that's what we do. So with that, I'm getting into plastic tea bags. When I started researching that, that became another identity crisis, and I started losing my mind because I used to use those because it was quick. Some plastic tea bags release billions of microplastic particles into our hot water, billions. And we still don't know what that constant exposure from all of these plastics are doing to us long term. There's
Mhm.
just not enough research out there. So that
But
just
it's
made
all
me realize
bad.
yeah, and that made me realize how fast everything we become because now we're taking these whole leaves and we're crushing them into dust and sealing them in a plastic bag and we're calling it convenience. And because these tea bags are, broken tea particles and dust, everything from that extracts so much faster. The bitterness, the tannins, the oxalates, and now you're just letting it sit in your cup of hot water, you know? But loose leaves release real a lot slower and you can reuse them. I reuse my tea leaves 3 to 5 times. By the 3rd or 4th steep, and then when I take them out, that's where all the medicinal properties come out, and buying in bulk lasts forever. Now, they may cost a lot more than your tea bags, but they last so much longer, and you can get 5 uses out of just those leaves?
Mhm.
And I think somewhere in the middle of this episode, it just completely stopped being about tea, and that's what all of this is really about. It's about slowing down and being intentional?
Yes, and you will hear us continue to call a lot of these things teas when they're not technically teas, but that's
Mhm.
just, that's who we are. And to be honest with all of you, I think that's the way that you're going to understand it best also, because if we keep calling them tisans or tisanes or whatever, then that's such a new concept, I think, to most people.
Yeah.
Um, so I will keep saying tea.
Yeah, we call everything tea in this house. Our kids go
Yeah.
outside and they got peppermint leaves last night and our older 2 were like, "Well, can we have some?" And I'm like, "Go pick some." And they made tea. They just call it tea. We made tea out of it.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
that's what we do also.
I do I use tea bags. I don't always because I have some herbs at the house that I use fresh. We make goldenrod tea a lot for allergies and
I love goldenrod.
respiratory. Mhm.
That's amazing.
I do too. And now you want to get the leaves on that before they bloom. But when they bloom and there's like a 2-week period where they bloom with ironweed, and it's the most beautiful
Hmm.
combination. But yeah, but I do use tea bags for a lot of things. Now I use medicinal traditional um tea for a lot of mine, and I know that they have healthier tea bags, but still, like Mir said, when when you do crush those leaves, like, it's right away where you get a lot of those good compounds, and, the longer they sit crushed like that, you start to lose all of them.
Mhm.
Not all of them, but a
Mhm.
lot of them. You don't get the full
Yeah.
impact. So
Yeah, and the bags usually use that polypropylene to seal it, or nylon silk for the silky pyramid bags. I did just look up really quick. So if you want to avoid using plastic entirely and you're still wanting tea bags because you're not ready for this slow pace life of throwing out that first tea and then steeping. I mean, it really doesn't take that long, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like still just so fast that are still trying to get into this mode of slowing down, and you don't have time for that. I get it. So if you're looking for a brand that you're wanting to look for a brand that uses paper, abaca fiber, or certified compostable plant-based materials with no plastic heat seal layers. So I have a few options, and I'll be sure to put it in the notes below. Some good plastic-free tea bag brands, traditional medicinals. I've heard of that. They used
I
unbleached.
just mentioned them.
Oh yeah, they use unbleached non-heat. Well, I just said I was looking it up as we go.
Well,
So yes, what Maggie said.
after I said it, I'm pretty sure I said medicinal traditionals, and that
Mhm.
sounded off to me, and I'm like,
Backwards.
wait, what?
Okay. So they use unbleached, non-heat sealed paper tea bags, staple
Mhm.
sealed. That's scary.
Staples.
Very reliable for non-plastic standards. Um,
Hmm.
It says also B Corp certified and focuses on herb teas. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to look that up. Numi Organic Tea, I've used that. They use plant-based compostable tea bags made from abaca fiber, banana plant, and
Hmm.
no plastic sealant. It says it's one of the most consistent plastic-free bag brands. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. And then puka
Mhm.
herbs. That sounds funny. Tea bags are plastic free and made from unbleached compostable plant fibers. They're stitched together rather than heat sealed. Yogi Tea is another popular brand I see in the store a lot of the time. Many of their bags are plastic free and
Oh,
FSC
good.
certified paper
I've used
with no
them.
plastic sealing. They've improved a lot in their recent years, but it's always good to double check with the specific blends. And then Clipper
Mhm.
teas. I've never heard of Clipper tea. It's known
Nor
for
have I.
unbleached plastic-free plant-based tea bags, very strong reputation in the UK and EU, and increasingly available in the US. So avoid those silky bag teas, bags labeled thermosealed or heat sealed, and very cheap generic store brand tea bags. But I mean, if you're really tight on money and you just want tea, then you can get a plant for a few bucks and keep it in the windowsill with, sweet mint or whatever and use that. Or
Sure.
if you're just like, I am not there yet and, I don't care what you're saying, I just want my tea, just do a little research and find some. There's some
Yeah,
pretty good reputable
get a
teas out
better
there that don't
brand.
cost too much. Yeah.
And and we're all at different stages. And even as Mira and I sit here and talk about all these different things that we do, like I said, I generally do use tea bags. I do have one of those metal infusion
Okay. That's what we
containers
use.
with the chain.
Mhm.
I have not used it yet. I have it, and I have every intention of using it and using all these loose leaf teas that I have.
Mhm.
I'm just not thinking of it, or it's just not a good time for me to do it. If it's just a crazy day and it's just one more thing, but all these things are going to be baby
Your life.
steps.
What do you think it is for you that keeps you from making that, especially when you already have those on hand? I mean, because
I have
my
no
day is my
idea.
day is crazy too. I have 5 littles running around causing and maybe that's the thing is they are so out of pocket. I have to make this tea. That's my absolute ever loving mind. Maybe that's my thing.
I I don't know. Sometimes I just get mentally overwhelmed, and there's so many
Mhm.
things that, because I've had this hand crank mill forever, and I have wheat berries, and then I had to wait until I got cheaper wheat berries because I have to throw out the first 3 cups because there could be metal shavings from
Oh,
this
wow.
mill, right? But I had the cheaper wheat berries for a couple weeks now, and I hadn't done anything, and my husband's making pancakes, and we have very little flour left, and he was like, "Well, we're gonna need this soon," and
Yeah,
I was like, "Alright, well, let me do it," and I did it this morning,
really.
and you have to throw out the first 3 cups, right?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. So that's 2 cups of wheat berries will give you 3 cups of milled flour.
Okay.
This took forever, and it was a lot of work. But you know
Yeah.
what?
Still living.
Aside from me having some, like, pain and discomfort in my body right now, I'm
Mhm.
thinking this is going to be a fantastic workout for me, and the
Mhm.
kids got involved, and they helped too.
Mhm.
And it really just forces you to slow down.
It does.
And it's
Intentional.
amazing when you finally just start doing these things, and it can be scary, and it's like, because 'cause you've never done it before, and what if I'm doing it wrong? And
Mhm.
just do it. That's a big problem that I have. I build
It
these
is.
things up, and I'm like, I can't handle it right now because it's just gonna be too difficult, too much, and I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes you just need to force yourself to do it, and you're like, "Wow, that wasn't really that difficult," and you find joy in it, and
And then it becomes second nature once you get
it
started doing
does.
it. So get
Yeah.
on the ball with that tea
Wait
making
until I
then.
have to start doing that every single morning to make my fresh loaves of bread every day. Baby steps,
Yeah.
you know?
3 years later. No.
No, hopefully not.
So
So, yeah, just yeah, go ahead. No,
that
you
to
go.
me is, what all of this is about, slowing down, being intentional, getting back to the small
Mhm.
things that people used to do before life became just so rushed. And maybe that's what we need a little more of.
Yeah.
And next week is all about supporting the nervous system naturally and helping overstimulated minds and how to slow down a little bit. So I think that that will be another good I don't know what I'm saying, good piece to get into. I'm excited
Mhm.
for this. And it's not just herbs, it's ways to help slow down. So I think that followed after this will be a good episode to get into. So
Mhm.
be sure to like and follow if you enjoy these conversations with us. And until then,
Stay rooted and stay wild.
stay wild.